Trent here from Rod and Rifle Tackle World in Katherine. Welcome firstly to the Timber Creek region. We hope you enjoy your time out there. I'm here to make your life a little bit easier if you're planning to do some fishing out there. Now, one way, a surefire way to catch yourself a barra is by using live bait. Now, for me, live bait is cheating, but that's a whole nother conversation. What I'm going to do today is just quickly show you how you may go about catching some live bait and where they might be in the river system to catch. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a cast net. When you buy a cast net, there are a couple of different things you need to take note of. Firstly, the size of the net. Now, if you've never thrown a cast net before, I highly recommend you do not go above a 7 foot. The larger the net, the harder it is to throw, especially for beginners. There's two types of cast nets out there. There's a standard pocket lined net. So if you imagine the cast net comes down, it has weights around it and then it has pockets folded up inside those. So when it spreads out, as the net comes back together, all those fish try to swim up into the net and they end up falling down into the pockets. Now the other style out there is a drawstring. Now if you're visiting from down south, and you're thinking about buying a cast net and you live somewhere on the ocean, you have a pier nearby you where you're from, I would recommend you buy a drawstring because you can actually reuse it down there. Now the way these work is when you throw the net, it spreads out, begins to fall down. As you pull on the rope, the net mushrooms underneath and comes back up. So what that means is you can throw it off a pier, off a jetty, without hitting the bottom and basically get that surface bait back in. They're not extremely practical for up here, but they still do the same thing because by the time you're pulling it, the net's already on the bottom. The tip is for catching mullet, do not throw it in more than a metre of water. Mullet will live on sandy, shallow edges of the river. So when you head to Timber Creek, you'll see it's a very shallow and wide river. Basically, you just need to cruise along. You need to get towards the edge of the river and look for the Popeye mullet cruising along. From there, being crockwise, you need to be very crockwise at Timber Creek. There are some very big crocodiles out there. You need to decide whether you're going to throw it off the boat or you're going to hop on the bank and chase those mullet. Now, preferably, the bank is the option. I'm not telling you to do that. That's the preferable option, so you don't get eaten by a crocodile. So places that you need to do that are nice, sandy, rocky areas. Don't go jumping into the mud because you'll sink up to your waist and you will become croc bait. Alrighty. So you need to use a cast net, shallow water, look for the Popeye mullet, throw it over them. It'll take you a few goes to get that right. You will have to run after the mullet. They are crafty little suckers, but you will get a few of them. Now, once you've caught them, we need to make sure you've got an aerator on standby with backup batteries. Very important. Sometimes you can turn these on accidentally while you're cruising down the river. You get there, you've got no battery left to keep your fish alive. They need to go into a bucket with an aerator, or if you've got a boat with a built-in live bait tank, happy days. Just make sure you keep the water turning over and keep them aerated, and that'll give you the best chance of catching a barra with a live mullet.